Hi there, everyone. Judge Andrew Napolitano here for Judging Freedom. Today is Wednesday, June 15, 2022. It's about 1:05 in the afternoon. I'm laughing because, we do very serious work here on Judging Freedom. In a little while, we're going to be talking with somebody who's being shot at in Ukraine. But right now, we are talking to one of my boyhood friends who happens to be maybe the funniest person in the United States of America today. Certainly the funniest person I know. The one, the only, the great Joe Piscopo. Joey, welcome to Judging Freedom.
Honored to be here with you, my friend, Judge Napolitano.
Now, would you tell everybody how well we know each other? Because when I tell people I know you, nobody believes me.
I know, it's so true. We went to elementary school together at Brookdale Elementary School in Bloomfield, New Jersey, right on Broad Street there in the beautiful town of Bloomfield, beautiful little section of Bloomfield called Brookdale. And Judge and I were in the same elementary school. Judge was the smart guy. I was not. I was the guy that hung out. I remember everybody's name. Johnny Vargo, my buddy, Johnny LaBaby, Kenny Russo, and then
those guys were all the troublemakers.
Look, I tell you, Judge, I've said it before, I'll say it 1,000 times, because I have a distinct, such a crisp, clear memory of you walking. We were in there was a Brookdale School behind it. It was asphalt, and then there was like baseball fields, like a little grass, not big, very small, in a little town. And I remember Judge Napolitano walking as we were causing havoc, on the fields. You would be walking deep in thought by yourself, I remember, Judge. Your head was down and you were walking. I think you took the back way to your house that way, in the back of the school. I remember that. And I went, look at that guy. That's the guy I should be like. Of course, I ended up not being that. You went out to Princeton. One of the making history.
Yeah, but at some point in your career, you had to do an audition for Lorne Michaels, right? You had to prove to him, the great producer of Saturday Night Live, that you, Joey Piscopo from Bloomfield, New Jersey, son of a very famous lawyer, equally as funny as you, was worthy of being a regular cast member at Saturday Night Live, right?
Yes, right.
What did you do? What did you perform? Who did you imitate? What did you say to him?
It wasn't Lorne. They removed Lorne out, and I still don't know why, but Lorne wasn't, let me put it this way, Judge, Lorne wasn't involved with the show then. So they had a producer come in. Her name was Jean Domanian, and she was a confidant of Woody Allen, and when Woody was making all those films, and she was Lorne's right hand. She was the producer. I did an audition on the 17th floor, just arbitrary, because a friend was a writer. And I went up to the 17th floor and did some kind of shtick. And they said, yeah, you should audition for us, like that. Formal audition. Wow. So you go in. It was, I believe, David Letterman's studio at the time, or just before he stepped in, 6th floor, I believe. And there was a camera there, and all the executives were in the audience. And I didn't want the job. Judge, who wants to replace Danny Aykroyd and Billy Murray and Chevy Chase and Gilda Radner and John Belushi? You couldn't do it. And I don't want the job. I think that's why I got the job. I was so flippant in my Bloomfield attitude, and I did Frank Sinatra, I did the Frank Sinatra stuff. I remember I said the impression I did for Saturday Night Live was the impression I did for Frank Sinatra, right up, like, close personal with Mr. Sinatra. I went, I don't stand a ghost of a chance with you.
How long were you in that gig?
4 years on Saturday Night Live, about roughly 4 years. Yeah.
Now, I believe it was at the height of your popularity on Saturday Night Live when you made your way, you know what's coming, into the lobby of the Bergen County Courthouse while your boyhood friend was in the building trying a murder case, which you wanted me to stop in order to try one of your divorces. I mean, this is like a shtick that you made up, but it's true.
You gotta lean on everything. So I'm in a divorce, my first divorce, if I may, and I see on the docket, I see Judge Andrew Napolitano. I said, I went to school with him. Can you get me that judge? Well,
so the sheriffs are calling me, saying to me, Judge, there's a nut down here who claims he's Joe Piscopo, and he also claims he knows you. Do you know him? I said, yeah, I know him. He wants you to hear his divorce. I can't hear his divorce, but send him up here.
And of course, you couldn't do it, but it was so funny. It was like, and then lo and behold, we ran into each other on television, and it's been great. Right. And by the way,
you have had a number of careers. I mean, right now, you knock the ball out of the park every morning on radio. What is, and I made this transition, but what was it like for you to make the transition from live television to live at 11 o'clock at night to live radio at 6 o'clock in the morning?
It's like, really, I'm coming in when I'm getting up when we used to come in, back in the day, so it's true. And that from all your years of morning television as well. And so they asked me on a whim, do you want to do radio? And I said, I love radio. I went to school. I didn't go to Princeton, Judge Napolitano, but I went to a school that would take me in Florida. And you know what? I got a great education in broadcasting. So I said, just so cut to all those years later after SNL, and I would be doing, my life was good, Judge, between you and I was doing live shows. So I go out and I do, songs, I do Frank Sinatra, I do some jokes, I tell Saturday Night Live story, I have video. It's like this multimedia, one-man kind of show that I do. So that life was good. And then Jerry Crowley over at AM 970 at Salem Media said, why don't you sit in? We need a morning guy. And I did it as a whim. People start to listen because I just organically, and I have to tell you, you and I on the radio together like this morning, it was great. You know what? There's no barrier. It's such an intimate medium. I fell in love with it.
It is intimate. When I had my radio show with Fox, my partner was Brian Kilmeade. Now they picked the two most opposite people at Fox. And we called the show Brian and the Judge. And even though there were times I wanted to wring his neck, he's so funny and so self-effacing. I loved him. But it is an intimate medium. You get that microphone in front of you, and it's almost like the listener believes or feels that you're talking to the listener. Now, I have to ask you this question. It may be a little embarrassing because I only know of one other person that does this. Do you wear makeup for radio?
I have to, but listen, I'm a step away from surgery, my dear friend. So now I get whatever help I can get. And there's all video all the time. So I'm up, you're up at 3:30, whatever it is, 4 o'clock. You got to walk. Now I like to video myself going to work or something like that. I need all the help I can get. Absolutely.
The reason I ask you is because, when Brian and I did Brian and the Judge for 3 years, 3 hours a day, 5 days a week in a windowless room. I said, Brian, this is dangerous. You're spending more time with me than you are with your wife. But we would have other Fox colleagues of ours come into the radio studio. Only one of them wore makeup for radio. One of your biggest fans, Geraldo. So to this day, Geraldo is known as the only radio person who always wears makeup. Do you still tour? Now, I know the answer to this because you and I did a program together before. Might have been an Italian-American group in D.C. We were in tuxes in an old post office somewhere. Do you remember that?
That was great. That was beautiful. That was, I think, for Brent Bozell's Media Research Center.
Oh, right. That was Brent Bozell, who was giving us an award because he felt we were being honest. I guess he meant about each other on air.
Yeah, well, but I go out every weekend, and I was in just Woodstock, Illinois. They wanted me to go out. They inducted me into the Sons of American Legion in the name of my father, serving in the Second World War. I thought that was so great. And it was where they shot Groundhog Day, Judge. It was right there where Billy Murray shot Groundhog Day, and we did a show at the Woodstock Opera House. I took Haley Reinhardt, who's a great jazz singer, with me, and we just had a blast. And I go out, and it's addictive, I must say, because coming from Comedy Live to the comedy clubs, improvisation in New York, going to Saturday Night Live, when I'm live, you need that fix. That's what's great about radio,
Yes.
That live, it's do or die.
I want you to sit back and relax for about 30 seconds and tell me what you think about this.
Oh yeah, this is one of my favorites, if I may. Fly me to the moon, let me swing among the stars. Let me know what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, baby, kiss me.
Now that is Francis Albert Sinatra imitating Joe Piscopo.
We went out. That was the Oshkosh Jazz Festival last August, and I went out. The gentleman next to me is Eugene Landau Murphy, who nails it. Is a spectacular. He won America's Got Talent years ago. So I go out with these young folks like Haley Reinhart, Dave Damiani, Sal Valentin, the Voice. I'm the only guy, Judge. I'm the guy that actually worked with and knew Mr. Sinatra. These are kids that want to sound like Mr. Sinatra, and we go out and we rip it up. All over the country. It's quite extraordinary. And the audience, there's an audience for that type of music. People forget.
I'm trying to think of a story involving you and Frank Sinatra and Nancy Reagan. Do I have this right?
Oh, you're good, man. You're good. Yeah. I think, Ronald Reagan was a hero to me, but I used to parody him on Saturday Night Live. I was the guy chosen by then now Dick Ebersol as a producer. And he said, you're going to do Ronald Reagan. And I said, I kind of like Ronald Reagan. I was a lifelong Democrat, as you know. And I said, well, let me do it. We had fun with it. We were never mean. We just had fun. We poked fun. When I told you this before, remember Ronald Reagan went into Grenada, and I had Ronald Reagan saying, well, next we're going into Switzerland. So it was, we poked fun. Then I get invited to the White House. Long story short, I meet Ronald Reagan. I shake his hand. And I said, and there was like a little fire right there in the East Room, wherever it was. And I met him and I said, Mr. President Joe Piscopo, I'm a new cast member on Saturday Night Live. An honor to meet you, sir. And he said, nice to meet you too, Joe. The warmth from this man, I'm telling you. And so, what do I say? You could talk about a Supreme Court case that you would probably spot, from 20 years earlier. Me, I go like this. Hey, nice fire, Mr. President. He goes like this. Ronald Reagan looks at me and goes, well, Joe, we've got people to do that for us. And it was so warm and wonderful. I turned away. Great to meet you, Mr. President. I turned away, leave alone. There's Nancy right in my face. Bang, right there. 2 words. Hello, Joe. And I knew why I was there. You can't tell me. I never verified it, Judge, that Mr. Sinatra, very close to the Reagans, goes, hey, this kid Piscopo, he's doing Ronnie on SNL. Get him down there. Let him meet the Gipper. He'll change his way. And it happened. I really changed my whole political outlook after that. Is that funny?
Wow. So that's what I wanted to ask you about, your political outlook. We were both raised blue-collar households, blue-collar Catholic households. Yes, my father was the first person ever to vote Republican in his family. Wow. You were raised as a Democrat. You stayed a Democrat. How and why and when did you become a conservative Republican with, if I may, even some libertarian tendencies?
You are our guiding light in many ways, Judge Napolitano, with great respect, because you make common sense of it all. And sometimes people say, are you an independent? I said, I'm really more libertarian now. Left the Democratic Party. As you know, and again, not to be long-winded, but through Ray Chambers, a mutual friend of ours, an icon in New Jersey who has given up Wall Street to help his the hometown of Newark, New Jersey, and to help out the at-risk community. I talked with Mr. Chambers. He enlightened me, and that was like, gosh, it had to be 25 years ago. I've been helping out the at-risk community, and I kept turning to the Democratic Party, not in New Jersey. The Democratic Party in New Jersey steps up for the inner cities, but not the rest of the country. When I look at Baltimore, St. Louis, we've been very, very fortunate. Judge, our family came from another country. They came into Bloomfield. We worked. We understood. A lot of folks aren't that fortunate. I wanted to help them. The Democrats, no disrespect, but they were nowhere. And I said, why aren't they there? And I even looked at President Trump even said, the inner cities, you got to go to the inner cities and started the opportunity zone. Remember Jack Kemp? Remember?
Jack Kemp was a dear friend of yours and mine, and a great human being. A great human being.
And the enterprise zones. And
Yes.
and it's like, and he was a Republican. So I said, you know what? I'm going to be more independent. And I ended up being more of an independent libertarian and just kind of on my own because I have a great distrust, not only of the government anymore, but of both political parties.
All right. Now, I didn't ask you ahead of time to prepare for this, but I'm sure you can do it. Can you do a promo for Judging Freedom in Ronald Reagan's voice? And then we'll let you go.
Well, it's Ronald Reagan, and you don't want to miss Judging Freedom with my dear personal friend, Judge Napolitano. Well,
Joe, your face even looked like him. My dear friends, you know, we do very serious work here, but you live a longer life when you laugh. And this man makes more people laugh than anybody else I know. I say that because we're friends for, I don't want to say how many years, but I think Harry Truman had recently left the White House when we were in grammar school. The great Joe Piscopo. Always a pleasure, my man. We'll talk again soon.
With respect and love to the family as well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Judge Napolitano for Judging Freedom.